Annabelle Condaring, Yelana following, and then on the number solely, then I must have a train, a second other thing, and say a lot of putting, coffee shop at the like a lot of cover. Now I can't tell the cover, Jachatika in the Kade, and then get decent in the Talinicade. What's up, high son, I got to Panade, last to see the part the time or is to Panade.
Woo!
Thank you. So I started like learning, studying with Trinity College, London. So I used to do a lot of my examinations through them growing up. So I started learning Western vocals when I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And I used to go for vocal training lessons, and I did exams. Since then, up until 2018, I finished my grade 8. So I did that, and then I did Carnatic and Hindustani lessons also.
Nice. In London?
I think in Chennai, when I lived in Chennai.
Okay, you were in Chennai.
Yeah. And then I did, I was under the guidance of Augustine Paulser for a long time. He did a lot of my vocal lessons for me. I also did piano. So I think with music, you're always going to learn. You're never going to know everything. So, and I think that works with everything in life. You're never going to know everything. So I'm still learning. But in terms of my training, I did Western vocals. Yeah.
Nice. I'm also a student of Augustine sir. I've had the opportunity to learn under him for about 3 to 4 months, and he did teach me the basics of Western classical vocals and things like that. So I know, amazing teacher. What an amazing teacher he is.
Playback happened. So I started my career at 14, as I said, in the South Indian movie industry because my family were really close friends with Kharesma Ravichandran and Suma auntie. And so they had this song that had English in it. So like, okay, we've got this UK girl, let's see how it goes. So I will always give like a lot of respect and credit to my dad. I know lots of people might say, oh, like through influence, but I'm always going to respect my dad for giving me that opportunity. Like, he's the one that put me in it. And then Kadhal Cricket I got through YouTube because Adhyana and Jeevana saw a YouTube video of mine, and it kind of all just started from there. Yeah.
So how old were you when you sang the song in Taniyoruvan? Must have been
14.
Like 14.
I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that experience? Like, were you nervous, or was it easy?
Super nervous. I mean, the concept of singing for South Indian cinema was something I didn't think would happen because growing up when I was smaller, all I wanted to do was be a performer. So to suddenly go from that to actually being able to sing for films, I never thought of that actually coming into fruition. So singing for Kadhal Cricket, at first I was like really nervous, but then I met Adhyana and Jeevana, and all those nerves completely went away because they made it a very fun, loving experience. So I couldn't feel nervous about it. Yeah.
And I also remember seeing your face with, especially with Kadhal Cricket. I remember because you were all over the place through promotions, and I've also seen a lot of fun videos, and you were like so young, so very cute videos of you performing and them jamming with you and all that. And the song itself was so vibrant, so fresh, the idea and your vocals in it, all that was like, and when you're saying rightfully, when you say that, you met them, and of course, Hip Hop Tamil has a lot of fun. I've never gotten to work with him, but of course, I've met him in person. He's a lot of fun, and he's full of ideas and things like that. So so that's amazing. But starting off with a Tala movie, I think you must have been pretty young to realize that, right?
It's funny because like I grew up watching all of Ajit sir's films, and also the combination of Kharesma Ravichandran and Gautam with Vasudev Menon sir and Thamare ma'am's lyrics, like they're like an iconic combo. So I've also listened to so many of their songs and their collaborations. Like, never did I actually think I'd get to be a part of that like situation one day, of being able to be a part of that collaboration in a small way. So when I first went into the studio for recording this song, because it was my first movie song, I was like petrified. Tamil, even though I love Tamil, it's like my favorite language, not a language I'm very comfortable with speaking fully. I still think even though I'm much, much miles better than what I was 10 years ago, I still have a very thick accent. So when I'm speaking, I'm not really sure if anyone can understand me. So when I was first in the studio, when I was like 14 and barely knew what to say properly, the lyrics were given to me in Tamil. Apart from the English portion, there were some lyrics I sang in Tamil. So I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work. But I will always say like Harris Uncle was my mentor in this industry because he sat with me for quite literally 10 to 11 hours, teaching me not just the pronunciation, but like what it meant and also how to do it. So like that experience is unforgettable for me because I will always be grateful to him for that. So yeah, the first experience was a scary one, but after that, it's gotten a lot better. And my dad normally decodes the lyrics for me. So he'll sit there and he'll change it into Tanglish, bless you. He'll change it into Tanglish, and then he'll be like, okay, now this is how you pronounce it. Like, you've got this. It's like a whole moral support situation. But I think over the years, it's become better now. And with the music directors I've been very fortunate to work with, all of them have been so patient and so like kind to me and like have always corrected me in a very educational manner. They've always been okay, like this is how you do it, this is how you say it. But I think it's much better now. I think my Tamil touchwood is doing much better.
But I think having a mentor or like having some kind of a support system really softens the challenges. Yeah.
And yes, and also to have somebody like a Harris sir, because I've also had the opportunity to work with him. He's such a, what should I say? He's all about the details. You know, he's such a perfectionist. But also very patient. When he's very patient when it comes to working, because once he likes something about you, and I'm sure he loved, you know, maybe it's the accent, maybe it's your tone, maybe it's your voice. You know, something once it locks him in, then he doesn't mind spending how much of a time, you know, until you get it right. So I think you, in that sense, I would say you've been super lucky to have him
100%
as your mentor.
100%. Like I think I will always look fondly back at that memory and think like, you know, who better to have had that first learning experience also the kindness he showed me as a 14-year-old who didn't know the language properly. I would never forget that. So I've been very lucky since then, also even with Hip Hop Tamla or like even sir, like to be able to sit there and they so patiently are okay with whatever comes out of like my language, but then they'll sit there and be like, okay, let's correct it, let's do it. And I think patience in music is something you absolutely need to have. Otherwise, you're not going to create the best product. So I think it's so awesome that I've been able to work with music directors that have been patient with me. Yeah. I think I've been really fortunate to be able to perform on stages of various sizes. I think every stage is so important, no matter like what the capacity is, whether it's one person or like 1,000 people. So I think like I've experienced it all. Like I've performed in front of smaller crowds, and now with Hip Hop Tamala's concerts, I performed in front of like really big crowds. And my favorite thing about performing live is like normally when you're in a studio, as you said, like you just have, as you would know as well, like you just do yourself and the mic, and then you've got the screen, and then the music director that's sat on the other side. But when you're live, you've got the audience who are able to like connect with you, and you can watch their emotion and kind of feel that when you're performing. So I think for me, I'm kind of like I'm a sponge for other people's emotions, in the sense of if I see someone like really enjoying something, I too will also really enjoy it. So yeah, for me, the whole experience of singing live is connecting with the audience.
Nice. And I think I can say this from my experience as well, that I think what the audience actually feel or throw back at you is also a reflection of how you feel on stage, you know, and just looking at your personality, this little chat that we've been having for the last 15, 20 minutes, I can imagine how energetic the crowd would be, you know, and they get to feel this energy on stage when you're performing your songs. You know, and having so much fun. Yeah, that's so cool.
But do you
get
nervous going from a small audience? I know you've been performing since you were really young, but like performing for such a large audience, I think has its own set of internal challenges as an artist. So what is it like?
I think like anybody would have slight stage fright sometimes when I go on stage and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people here. But then at that moment, you kind of have to like, as weird as it sounds, you kind of block out like all the white noise because you know like you can't mess up now. Like now is not the time to mess around. So like I think all the performances I've done growing up, I did theatre school as well. So I've like been able to experience a lot of different style of audiences and shows and all of that stuff. It's kind of trained me in a way to just get on with it. So like when I'm on stage, I find like 3 people from the audience and I look at them first. Yeah, I'm like, you are caught today because I am going to watch you the whole time.
You are good for me. Right?
Yeah. I was like, now you have been caught. So, and then I'm like, okay, when I start with the 3 of you, then I'll go to the next 3, and then that's like how I go.
So how has theatre influenced your life as a musician?
I think from a performance angle, because I've done I used to go to theatre school. So when I was living in London, and then with school, I did lots of different productions. And I think that taught me like the drama and all of that stuff. But it taught me how to be more of a well-rounded like a performer. So I learned a lot about like even dance or whatever it may be through theatre school.
So we also have an acting course taught by a national award-winning actor, and it's so interesting because Ranjith and I always believe that it's such a wonderful thing for any kind of performer to expose themselves towards acting, because it really makes you a much more confident performer. It makes you so much more comfortable in your own skin. And it's been so exciting to like look at that entire journey and see how it shapes up. But I'm very curious to know, is there anything in the acting space lined up for you in the near future?
No, I'm already, as I said, I'm trying to balance the academics and the music. So I always have a policy of never saying never, but right now for me, it's music. Music is my passion for sure. So I think like I sing any moment I can get. So what I do in the morning, I love listening to music, so I'll hum during that time, I'll sing during that time. Anytime before I sing, I always warm up. Okay. I think that's super duper important. And so I keep in touch with my singing just by like literally singing any random song that I hear. Like if I hear it play on the radio or if I'm listening to music, I'll just break out in song and just sing along to it just to keep me going. Otherwise it's easy not to train your voice in that sense. Like talking and singing are like 2 different things. I talk a lot, so my vocal cords probably are warming up that way. but singing is a different category of your throat, so I try and do as much as vocal exercises as I can. Yeah, I do. So one thing that actually Augustine Sir taught me was like vocal trills and like lip, like those stuff, because that kind of takes, how do I say, like it focuses on every like layer of your voice, whether it's low or whether it's high. I do that, but also in terms of my eating practices, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink anything iced. I'm like very religiously like making sure I'm following that because every little thing helps. So in that sense, but warm-ups, normally like on YouTube, or if I don't have my keyboard or something, I use YouTube, and there's so many exercises that do the lower vocal cords and the higher vocal cords. And I always make sure I do both at the like one after the other. So it's easy to flit between both styles when I'm singing.
So do you also have any independent releases? Have you worked on something on the independent space?
Yeah. So currently, as we speak, I'm working on an independent track.
Lovely.
But prior to this, I released a song with the Underground Tribe, which is Hip Hop Tamila's independent label, called Marindithiyo. And then I also write a lot in English. I do lots of of my own like English songs and compositions. I think also because I started off songwriting for me in my musical journey, that I try to write as much as I can. But yeah, so I do independent songs, but not as much as I would want to. So I'm gonna definitely start doing more.
Okay. Nice. So what do you think are the challenges? What do you feel the challenges when it comes to, because you did mention that not as much as I would like to, and I think that's always going to be there.
Of course.
Right? We always
of course.
We always want to do more. It's never enough.
Yeah.
Okay, but what do you feel are some of the challenges that are like in the way of?
I think not in the way per se, but I'm also really big in my academics. I studied I think all my life. So for me, balancing my education and my music, sometimes it's not that it's a struggle, but you have to be able to prioritize both.
Oh, yes.
And academically, that's always been something very big in my family. Like studies always comes first. So I think because of that, also I haven't been able to put in as much as time as I probably could have over the last now decade into like music. Then so I think that probably contributes to the lack of
I get it. Yes, I think that's a constant challenge when it comes to even some of our learners, because there's so much passion, there's so much love for the art, but yeah, the constraint of time is a big one.
For sure.
And like you rightly mentioned, prioritizing what needs to go, where your focus needs to be, is a constant thing.
Academically, what are you doing?
I just finished my postgrad in law, so I'm a couple exams away of becoming a solicitor. Fingers crossed that will happen soon. But that takes a lot of time, so it takes a lot of time of mine as well. So it's balancing.
That's a professional degree. Like, do you see yourself like as a practicing lawyer and a musician? Like, what is it? Okay.
That's the dream. That would be ideal if I could do both. Like a lot of family friends always say, "Oh, you're going to be a singing lawyer," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's the plan." So, outside of films and outside of like the South Indian soundscape, I collaborate a lot with my friends. So one of my best friends from university, he and I do so much of music together. And he's currently working on this independent track with me. So he's someone I collaborate with all the time. And then with the Underground Tribe, I collaborated on the track that I did for them with a rapper called Paul B. Salis, and the music composer was Mad Panda. So like that, I've collaborated with like lots of independent artists. Otherwise, like a lot of my friends and I are the ones that do a lot of things together because we studied music together at university as well. So we normally, like every Mondays or every Fridays, we kind of sit together and we create something, whether it's like one of my other really good best friends, she's a lyricist. So my two good friends are very, very good at composing and writing. So I'm like, come on, guys,
dream team.
That's a definitely dream team. Exactly.
Dream team. Yeah, so there's 4 of us at university. One plays the saxophone incredibly well. One produces incredibly well. One sings and writes incredibly well. The guy that plays sax also sings. So the 4 of us kind of combine and just used to do so much together. Yeah.
Nice. And I don't think there's a better way to learn than collaboration,
For
right?
sure.
I mean, you just absorb each other's knowledge so effortlessly.
1 million percent. Even with my friend who I'm doing this track with right now, he knows so much about production that I don't know of. And so like watching him create things with Pro Tools or whatever the applications he uses, like it's so fascinating to me because I'm learning so much about it's one thing composing music melodically or giving a hum to it or like putting that type of melody, but it's another thing trying to bring that to life through production. So watching how that goes is so cool. Like I've learned a lot from him, like just watching him. That's why I say you're constantly learning no matter who you're with.
So how did you dabble in songwriting? Like did you go through a process or did you just feel inspired by the artists that you were working with?
I think when I'm songwriting, I kind of think about situations or I kind of think about even the most like tiniest thing that even I've gone through, I'll sit and write a song about it. Like, or when I'm collaborating with other artists, we usually kind of sit and pool all our ideas together. I think songwriting is a very vulnerable place. You have to kind of be able to be in touch with what you're feeling and thinking. And so normally it just involves a lot of like deep discussions to get something out.
What are you really feeling?
What am I really feeling today? Or I'll be like to my friends, you guys tell me what you're feeling and we'll try something.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you share a few lines of one of your favorite indie projects that you've worked on, indie track, any of them?
Well, when you ask me like this, suddenly I blank. But
maybe something from underground.
So Underground, I didn't write the lyrics for it, but so it was completely another lyricist who wrote it, and it's called Marandithiyo. So basically, the track is all about like forgetting about like distant love and whatnot. A song that I wrote on my own in English was a song I wrote during COVID, called Dear Future, and I collabed with my friend who I'm doing this indie track with. So he and I wrote the song together, and it's all about the world will be like a better place. We'll wake up and we'll feel like it's a new day, like things like that. It's like it was written at a time where I felt like everything was going crazy because of Corona, and everyone was locked indoors, and everyone was scared of what the future would hold. So this whole lyric was like a letter. I wrote it as like a letter to my future self, and that, you know, the world will be a better place kind of situation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Such a cool idea. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I think all credit goes to my parents. They always raised me to be like very grounded, very like, don't let anything get to your head, because that is not how this works. My mom is the first person to be like, snap out of it. Even if I like say, oh mama, like look at this, she'll be like, okay, cool. Like they're really, really proud of me, but at the same time, they don't encourage me talking about it too much. So I think that aspect of having parents like them, touch wood, thank God for them, that I have the ability to not let it get into like it never like it was pretty wild being that young and having that much of love, and it's something that I'm so like grateful for that I still have after a decade of singing in this industry now. And but I think my parents and my family and a lot of my friends also, when I was studying in Sri Lanka, my friends are like the best reality check ever. They were like, I'd go to school after recording or when Kadhal Cricket came out or whatever, and they'd be like, okay, cool, like nice song, bro, now let's go for maths class. I'm like, okay, let's go. So it was very much like, let's not focus on that. Well done, but let's move on. So I think big credit to my family and to my friends. Yeah. So I think balancing it was easy in that sense. And also when you have academics to think about, you're not really focusing on much else. And I wasn't living in Chennai at the times all these songs came out. I was living in Sri Lanka. I was like back in London. So I didn't fully feel the effect of it until and unless I came back. But, I think a lot of it comes from like my love for Western music. So I grew up listening to Beyonce, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. So I listened to a lot of that type of singing, and that influenced, I think, how I started singing music. Yeah.
So do you like go into the studio and have an idea of like what kind of style you want to portray through the song? How does it work?
I think it fully depends on what the meaning of the song is. Like I normally just kind of ask a bit of backstory, like, oh, like what type of genre film is this? And then I would kind of know how to sing it, but I try to stick true to like how I normally would sound just generally. And then I take notes from the music directors on how to improve it. So
to quickly understand, what is your take on, because see, I have a lot of young learners, young people, you know, me approaching me and asking me. I know you also are somebody who had this opportunity to directly meet a music director, you know, and get to sing a song for him directly, you know, in the comfort of a studio and things like that. And I have a lot of young people who don't have that opportunity asking me, how can I do this? Can I meet somebody? How can I meet this music director? I know you know him. Can I pass on my work with him? Can you please recommend, you know, me with him? And I tell them, don't bother. Don't worry so much about this. Just, you have so many tools today, you know, get on social media, do something that's truly passionate for whatever, any kind of work that you truly relate to, put it out there, tag these people. Everybody is now active on social media, tag whoever you want, you know, and I'm sure they will get to see your work if it's really interesting and unique.
Definitely.
So that is my general, you know, suggestion and recommendation to especially young people, because I feel they are more, you know, most of the time, you know, compared to, I would say, me, they are all the more active on social media. I think the way they interact, the way they have kind of looked at this whole deal is very different. So what is your take on this? What do you feel about this?
I actually think very similar to yours. I always say, like, nowadays, social media plays such a big role in, you know, being spotted or a song going viral. Sometimes you don't even need to be spotted. Sometimes the song itself will go viral.
Right.
I'm not, as I said, I'm not very good with like social media stuff, but like back, I have to stop saying back, but when I did YouTube, when I did YouTube a while ago, that was the platform. That was like a big platform for you to be recognized, for you to be spotted, for people to show interest in your sound. So I definitely agree in terms of being approached, being recognized. Really, social media, like the right content, the right hashtags, the right timings, the right, like also when you're taking a video, like having the right background, like everything counts. So I think very similar to the advice you were given is something I would also 100% support. Yeah. I think the main thing is like not to give up who you are as a person. I think music also is involves lots of authenticity. Like just because there are newer sounds or because there's something new happening doesn't mean you have to change who you are and who you believe your best self is when you come to whether you're playing an instrument or whether you're singing. And so like don't give up also. If you feel like you're not hitting it today, it could happen tomorrow. Even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it will happen. You just have to like keep going at it because it's so easy to give up. I think it's so easy to give up, especially with the day and age that we are in. Like when you see so many people hitting things correctly and doing well, like through trends or whatever, you're thinking, oh, how can that be me? But first, don't compare yourself because everyone is different. That's what makes you unique, right? So don't give up and don't lose your authenticity because those are like the perfect ingredients to succeed in what you want to do. I speak as if I've done everything, but I have not. I still have so much to do and so much to learn. But that's one thing that my mom and my dad have always said, like, always be authentic. That's something that I've learned also from the music directors that I've worked with, being in close proximity with Hip Hop Tamila and seeing how they think as independent musicians and how they've encouraged lots of independent artists. I've been inspired a lot by how they also, you know, how their growth has been and how they encourage other people's growth. So that's something I've learned from them, authenticity. So definitely always be authentic.
Wow. I must say you are indeed an old soul.
Yeah.
And, you know, but I think it's such a beautiful combination because, you know, you speak with such conviction but at the same time you have such a young voice, you have such a vibrant energy, and I think that's a beautiful blend that we are going to look forward to in your upcoming releases. You know, this beautiful you know, combination of you know, a mixture of your identity is going to be so beautiful to observe and to listen to and kind of you know, have fun with. So thank you so much, Kharesma.
No,
amazing.
Thank you.